Jay, I get that for sure. I totally get that feeling. There's a, call it like performance anxiety, or there's a, it's not entirely, I think, unassociated to a stress that can be aligned to just even like appointments and meetings in general. I used to, so my background is in I've spent most of my career doing web development in one form or another. And in those circles, it's often described as like developer time versus manager time, right? A manager's schedule is filled with meetings, and for a developer, usually you don't, for people making stuff, you don't generally want that. And I always just used to think of it that way and understood it in that very sort of pinhole view. Um, but nowadays, I think of it a little bit differently. I think it's actually super common. Like if I know that I have somewhere that I need to be soon, that might be all I can think about until that happens. I may not be able to sort of free my mind and focus. And I think it's a related thing. I think there's a, I don't know all the words to use for it necessarily, but there's this sort of general tension or anxiety that can build around a time and a place. And I've talked to people, and others relate to that outside of a, working context even. And it kind of never goes away, or at least I've yet to experience it fully going away. But at the same time, like I'll have that even about streams that I schedule and plan, where I'm like, do I really want to do this tonight? But I've yet to, if I sort of just like start doing it, if I'm like, okay, let me just trust in the process. If I just do it, I don't think I've ever come out of a stream having run it not being like, well, I feel way better now that I did that. Working on whatever, even if I don't feel like working, I always feel better after working on this for a couple hours or working on a craft. Good boy, Bruce. How dice you realize that you're getting better at it? Took a breath, feeling good about progress. All you can do, it's both the easiest thing and the hardest thing, right? Because the reality is, no matter what you're doing, but if you're running sessions, running a game, you're not going to be any good for yourself, right? Like very few people are just like prodigies at anything that they start to do. You probably shouldn't really start judging yourself too harshly until you've done a thing like 100 times. Once you've done something 100 times, you probably have already sorted out a lot of things that didn't work out for you, but also now you actually have some experience to work with. It's really hard when you're beginning to be too critical, hyper. It's like you just need more hours sort of in the chair. And if you can do something, anything, whether that's a podcast or a craft or running the game, if you can do it 100 times, it's both easy because it's like, well, I could do a lot of something if I just have patience. Like accumulating a number, that's okay. There are harder things to do, but the difficult thing is that you sort of have to live with yourself not living up to your own standards yet until some future date. But hey, Max, just doing, but can I relate to that with any creative process starting slow, even with low motivation, helps so much? Yeah. Sometimes it's just a matter of like, okay, well, I can't bring myself to do too much, but you know what I can do? I can make some wood planks, or I can cut some bricks, or maybe I'll just like organize my space or something. There's always something that I can do that helps a little bit. But session was dragging a little, instinctively had a bullet break the surface. The numbers went smooth. We ended on a high note. Nice. Yeah, I mean, if you do something 100 times and every time you go, okay, well, here's one little tiny thing I can do better next time, that 1% improvement over 100 sessions, like you're going to be it's going to be a totally different thing. Like I say the same thing about, I don't even know, this is only the 60 something time that I've streamed while prepping or writing a session. And this is totally different than it was when I started at number one, right? Same goes for crafting streams. Less so for miniature painting, because I've done that maybe only 10 times. But that's most of the reason that I number them for myself is to, or at least this stream I do. I don't really number crafting streams. There's, I don't know. I'll leave that stat tracking to Jesse. But if you care about your craft, you can't help but get better. I think it's just a matter of being kind to ourselves along that way, because our our taste usually exceeds our skill for far longer than we'd all like, you know. And to suffer through making something that you view as like not good enough is painful, and most people will just stop, you know. That's where you hear people say, well, I can't draw. It's like, well, okay. I mean, what that really is a statement of where you currently are and that you don't want to suffer through getting better. Yeah. It doesn't mean that it's not fair to say. I mean, nobody has to do everything, but sometimes it's helpful to kind of shift your perspective a little bit. Jay, you went straight into homebrew. Don't recommend for first time. Yeah. And have a mix between serious veterans and newbies. I think of every session what could be improved and what they enjoy. Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. I would actually, uh, and obviously take any of these suggestions, leave it. It's not. I only know what has worked for me, but I would recommend the question be specifically, what did you like? What did you not like? And maybe that's how you're asking it. But if you ask it in a way where it's like, what could be improved? What I think you don't, what none of us sounds, unless it's in the context of probably a separate conversation with one of your players is a dungeon master who you respect, who can give you some of that knowledge. It's sort of like a chef. A chef wants to, like, if you make somebody a meal, you want to know what did you like and what didn't you like, but you're not going to ask the person eating the food you made what you should improve about it or how to make it better, right? So I would stick to like the surface level feedback, because that is easy for people to give. If you ask people to speculate about how something could be improved, usually that's where things are going to get weird, because it's probably something that somebody has less experience in than you do, even, and then you know that you're the best person to interpret how to respond to the feedback that they give. They probably shouldn't give that. Like I said, unless it's a trusted sort of, um, peer that, if you have a player that's also a dungeon master, you talk to them separately, that's a different thing.